PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down everything going on with the Golden Knights, we're going to be talking about the most recent event that happened and really unfortunate situation. There was, a little bit of positive, but man, a lot of negative that's going on. So we're going to be breaking down all of that and talking about it on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub. And really looking forward to breaking down this video and really talking about what happened here between this situation and how it involves your Vegas Golden Knights and really what the future is going to look like moving forward. Now, go to www.prconnectionsradio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all the amazing content on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub, so go to the website. We also have our own social media at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm also on there as well at Ian J. Rachiele. Now, getting into this actual situation that happened, it started out promising, okay? It started out with some promise with these two. However, the tide really turned towards the middle, and we're going to break down all of that on this episode. But yeah, there's a lot of news and a lot of stuff we can break down and talk about on this game. And we're going to get into all of that on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. And yeah, really appreciate everyone who's going to be watching and sticking around as we're going to be talking about all of that on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub. And once again, I really appreciate everyone who watches the show. Now, before we get into the actual event and really getting into what happened, we're going to do a very quick update on the wild card situation because your Vegas Golden Knights, the gap is getting closer and closer and closer. Now, for the Los Angeles Kings, there is a 4-point to the good in terms of the last spot in the Pacific Division. Nashville Predators, there's a few points ahead of Vegas for the 7th seed out there in the Western Conference. However, the last wild card spot, Minnesota is now 3 points behind. St. Louis Blues are now 4 points behind. And with the amount of games left, you have a dozen games left for the Vegas Golden Knights organization. You really need to win these games. Like if you're a Vegas Golden Knights fan, if you're someone who's watching this video right now, you have to be a tad worried because LA has been racking up wins. Nashville been racking up wins. St. Louis and Minnesota are getting overtime losses. They're racking up some points. They're getting their wins. Vegas needs to start doing that. This is a Vegas Golden Knights team that really cannot afford a losing streak right now. And we saw what happened just now. We saw that we had a very much of a destruction on defense. We'll break down all of it. But for the Golden Knights, you do not want to miss the playoffs. For the Vegas Golden Knights, you just went to the Stanley Cup. You do not want to miss now. And, just like, Tony Stewart would say, for anybody who's a NASCAR fan, if you ain't here to win, then why are you driving? Okay? If you are not here to win, then why are you playing hockey? And so for the Vegas Golden Knights, you are currently 3 points to the good against Minnesota. St. Louis, 4 back from Vegas. And right now, you are 4 points behind LA for the final spot in the Pacific Division. So it's going to be really curious, and I'm really intrigued to see how the Vegas Golden Knights perform over the remaining 12 games that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be having. Because this is going to be a situation where you are going to see your Vegas Golden Knights work hard and hard and hard over the next dozen games. Because you need to. You got to win these games. So that's the wild card update, talking about what's going on right here, right now. The Central Division, you still have a deadlock between Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg. I mean, they're all in a huge bubble of just around 1 point difference between Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg. Vancouver has had the Pacific Division locked up for a while. Now, heading into practice, there was a big update and huge news that happened. Alex Pietrangelo not at morning skate. Now, thanks to Bruce Cassidy, we have found out that it was an illness that Alex Pietrangelo is dealing with. So because Alex Pietrangelo is not at morning skate, because he was not skating with the team, Noah Hannafin and Nick Hague will be your first pairing for this game against Tampa Bay. So Nick Hague, he has spent a little bit of time on the first line. Anybody who recalls when Alec Martinez was out to begin the year, they did promote Nick Hague onto the first defensive pairing, had him play with Pietrangelo for a little bit. So once again this season, Nick Hague being promoted from defensive pairing 3 to now defensive pairing 1 for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this will be the first time that we see any chemistry, maybe it'll form, maybe not, with Noah Hannafin. So Nick Hague, Noah Hannafin, first defensive pairing in this game. And Aiden Hill in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm going to put my opinion in here. I disagree. Logan Thompson has been performing incredibly well over the last couple of starts. Aiden Hill in the last month has not done what he needed to do. Over the last month, Aiden Hill has really not done what he needs to do. He's been sluggish. He has been kind of lacking in terms of certain categories. So unfortunately, when I really sit here and analyze it, I don't know why Aiden Hill is in net. He's not a workhorse. He's not someone who's going to start 65, 70% of the season. And having him do a lot of back-to-backs, having him do 3 out of 5, having him do 4 out of 6, I don't agree with it with Bruce Cassidy. So Aiden Hill being in net is a bit suspect, but we'll see how he does in this game. We'll break down everything that happened. And then the one lineup change that did happen is that I guess the Golden Knights wanted more physicality in this game because Pavel Dorofeev is out and Paul Cotter is in. So Paul Cotter, who has been out of the starting lineup for a while now, he is now back in the starting lineup. He would be on the third line tonight for the Vegas Golden Knights alongside Michael Amadio and Brett Howden. And the starting lineup, actually, we'll break all that down right now. On the first line is Jack Eichel, Ivan Barbashev, and Jonathan Marchessault. On the second line is William Karlsson, Anthony Mantha, and Chandler Stevenson. Third line is Amadio, Cotter, and Howden, what we just talked about. And line 4 is Carrier, Kolazar, and Waugh. Now, your defensive pairings, which are very interesting. On defensive pairing 1 is Hannafin and Hague. Defensive pairing 2 is McNabb and Theodore. And then defensive pairing line 3, this has actually been something that we've had for a while now because they did this recently, Ben Hutton and Alec Martinez. So those are your lineup for this game. And like I said, really the main change is having Nick Hague, who was taken out of the lineup in the game against New Jersey. He is now back in the starting lineup and as a first defensive pairing to replace Alex Pietrangelo on defense. And they put these two in against New Jersey, and they're keeping them, and that was Hannafin. Hannafin, he's staying on the first defensive pairing, and then Ben Hutton and Alec Martinez for the second game in a row being your third defensive pairing. And on the forward lines, ever since the trade deadline of sorts, you've kind of kept the same lines the same. The fourth line has been consistent ever since Carrier came back. Carrier, Kolazar, and Waugh. And then the first line, Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault has been that way majority of the year. And speaking of Jonathan Marchessault, a congratulations is in order at Jonathan Marchessault, game 500 as a Vegas Golden Knight. So a round of applause, the guy who leads the Vegas Golden Knights in so many categories right now. So congratulations to Jonathan Marchessault on game 500 as a Vegas Golden Knight. I mean, 7 seasons accumulates 500 games. Wow. So, congratulations to Jonathan Marchessault. What an accomplishment that is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and speculate on what's going to happen in a few months, but here's what I will say, is that Jonathan Marchessault is the heart and soul of your Vegas Golden Knights. He's a fan favorite. He is beloved here. If you can find a way to kind of keep him inside the organization, I would appreciate that. So, as the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be taking on Tampa Bay Lightning, congratulations, Jonathan Marchessault, 500 games as a Golden Knight. And this is actually a great segue because the Vegas Golden Knights playing at T-Mobile Arena, the game would start, and who else would score the first goal but the guy who just had his 500th game, Jonathan Marchessault, 38th goal of the season, and it put your Vegas Golden Knights up by 1 to begin the game, assisted by his line mate Jack Eichel and Shea Theodore with the assist. So Jonathan Marchessault, wow, what an incredible situation by him. I mean, you got to remember William Karlsson, 43 goals back in 2017, 2018. Will Marchessault get there? Will he surpass it? Like I said, we have around a dozen games left for him to really determine that. But for Jonathan Marchessault, 38 goals, career high for him. And wow, what an incredible season by him. Jack Eichel racking up another assist in this season. Really solid job by Jonathan Marchessault. Now, for the remainder of this game, about the halfway mark of the game, the Tampa Bay Lightning would get a too many men over the ice penalty. It would be served by someone they acquired at the trade deadline in Anthony Duclair. But even though they are shorthanded, the Tampa Bay Lightning would find a way to score on the shorthanded as Anthony Cirelli with his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Brandon Hagel. So just like that, the Vegas Golden Knights would be tied at 1. And when it comes to Anthony Cirelli, this is somebody who's been a long-time member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was there during their entire Stanley Cup run. And for 15 goals on the year, I mean, this is a guy who's a middle six forward out there in Tampa Bay. But for him to tie the game up on a shorthanded goal, that kind of tells you that this game was not going to go as great as a lot of people thought it would. And not even 2 minutes later, Anthony Duclair, the guy who went to the penalty box to serve the too many men over the ice penalty, the guy they acquired from San Jose at the trade deadline, 19th goal of the season for Anthony Duclair, assisted by Nikita Kucherov. And just like that, Tampa Bay 2-1 game. And they are up in at the halfway of the first period. Now, I'm not focusing on Anthony Duclair that much, but for Nikita Kucherov, 75th assist of the season. I mean, if he doesn't win the Hart Trophy for MVP, I will be surprised. I mean, he is leading the NHL in points right now. His assist numbers are off the charts right now in the NHL. So Nikita Kucherov, 75th assist of the season. And by the way, he would not be done in this game, but we'll get back to him later. But yeah, Anthony Duclair, 19th goal of the season. And later on in the first period, Ivan Barbashev would get a hooking penalty. He would go to the box, and he would actually be there for 2 minutes. And your Vegas Golden Knights would kill off this power play. So the penalty kill would be 1-for-1 for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I will give credit over the last 4 or 5 games. The penalty kill has been shut down for the Vegas Golden Knights. They have done really excellent on the penalty kill as of late. So they kill off the Ivan Barbashev penalty, but they're still down by 1. So they're going to have somebody take over after the end of the first period. And there was actually a goal-scoring opportunity in the end of the first period, as you would actually see Shea Theodore. He would shoot it from the slot, and it just did not get past the goaltender. So Tampa Bay Lightning, unfortunately, would stay a 2-1 game. Vasilevsky, who's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, he was able to get the pad up and kind of keep Shea Theodore from getting the puck in the back of the net. So at the end of the first period, there was some physicality, there was some hits, there was some good back and forth between Tampa Bay and Vegas, but Tampa Bay would be up 2-1 at the end of the first period. Now, heading into the second period between Tampa Bay and Vegas, and there would be 2 penalties in the second period. Connor Sherry would have a high-sticking penalty against Ben Hutton, and that would create the second power play opportunity in this game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And the Vegas Golden Knights would not capitalize and would not score on the power play. So 0-for-2 on the power play for the Vegas Golden Knights. This has actually been a concern for Vegas Hockey Hub and for Golden Knights fans all around the world. The power play really hasn't stepped up as of late. And then a few minutes later, Braden McNabb would get a tripping penalty. He would go to the penalty box, and excellently done by the Vegas Golden Knights. They would kill off this penalty kill. So even though you were 0 for 2 on the power play, you were 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. So Vegas Golden Knights are doing really solid on the penalty kill. One of the best aspects of this season has been their penalty kill unit. And with about a few minutes left in the second period, Brett Howden would score his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Keegan Kolazar. It would be a 2-2 game with your Vegas Golden Knights. And Brett Howden, someone who was actually drafted, someone who is part of the Tampa Bay Lightning organization, he would be flipped to New York Rangers a few years after being drafted, and then he would make his way to the Vegas Golden Knights organization. So that has to feel a little good for Brett Howden to score his 6th goal of the season against his former team that drafted him in the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, that bottom 6 has really started to grow on me. I mean, Brett Howden, Keegan Kolazar, Nick Waugh, William Carrier scored a goal in the most recent matchup against New Jersey. But that bottom 6 has really been stepping up with your Vegas Golden Knights organization. And even though the top 6 is supposed to be scoring a lot of the goals, and they have it at times, the bottom 6 connecting has been a really good job by the Golden Knights. So at the end of the second period, you are tied at 2-2, and the Vegas Golden Knights head into the locker room at T-Mobile Arena, and you're kind of hoping that there would be a change in momentum, right? The tide would maybe change in the Golden Knights' favor. Well, unfortunately, no. As in the beginning of the third period, Nick Hague would get a tripping penalty against Steven Stamkos. And this is going to be like a mini rant, by the way. But Nick Hague, that was an unnecessary penalty. That was uncalled for. That was a very dumb play by Nick Hague. You didn't need to take a penalty there. You didn't have to be in the penalty box. And it cost you and it cost the team, because in a minute, I'm going to explain how you cost the Golden Knights. But Nick Hague, that was a awfully boneheaded move in that play. So, unfortunately, Nick Hague goes to the box. And him being the first defensive pairing alongside Hanifin, that's something you just cannot do. And you put the Tampa Bay Lightning on the power play. And for the first time in a couple of games, your Vegas Golden Knights would not stop somebody on the penalty kill, as Braden Point would score his 37th goal of the season, assisted by Nikita Kucherov for the second time in this game, and Steven Stamkos, who got the penalty on him when Nick Hague did that stupid tripping penalty. The Tampa Bay Lightning would be up 3-2 against your Vegas Golden Knights. And that was just a crushing situation. Not just the penalty by Hague, but Aiden Hill, really, I wish, would have gotten that job done, because this goal could have been preventable. But unfortunately, Aiden Hill just has not been on par right now. He is just not doing what he needs to be doing. So at this point in time, Aiden Hill is lacking and kind of slacking back just a little bit. So the Tampa Bay Lightning up by 1 in this game. But let's be positive here. Okay? Let's be positive, because a few minutes later, defenseman Ben Hutton with his 2nd goal of the 2023-2024 season, and with the 2nd assist of the game, Keegan Kolazar. And just like that, your Golden Knights are now tied at 3. So around halfway into the third period, your Vegas Golden Knights would be back into this game. They would tie this up once again, and this would create an opportunity for the Golden Knights to try to win this game. Except, unfortunately, the Vegas Golden Knights would not capitalize on this situation, as a few minutes later, for the 2nd time in this game, Braden Point would have his 38th goal of the season, assisted by Darren Radish and Nikita Kucherov. And just like that, the energy was depleted, the momentum was gone, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are now leading 4-2-3. Nikita Kucherov, 77 assists on the year. He was the assist on 3 of these 4 goals. And for Braden Point, he is just racking up goal after goal after goal. He is kind of matching what Jonathan Marchessault has been doing here in Vegas. So for Braden Point, good for him. Nikita Kucherov, like I said, MVP candidate for sure. I think that he should win it, but that's beside the point. And despite the Tampa Bay Lightning giving up a penalty, Matt Dumba would get a penalty. Your Vegas Golden Knights would not get a power play goal. And towards the end of this game, all right, with about a few seconds left, Nikita Kucherov with an empty net goal assisted by Steven Stamkos. So Nikita Kucherov, 41st goal of the season. And just like that, a 5-3 final for the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Vegas Golden Knights. What a crushing loss. Adin Hill, do not be in the next game. I'm saying this as someone who's a fan, as someone who's been watching this. Put LT in. The next game against Seattle, Adin Hill is not a workhorse. Adin Hill is not someone who can start 4 out of 5. I don't understand the logic with Bruce Cassidy. So, if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, you need to put in Logan Thompson for this upcoming game. It's time to do a 50-50 split. Because Adin Hill's not in. This past month, the month of March, has been very disappointing, very underwhelming with Adin Hill. So, it's time to make that change. Make Logan Thompson, put him back as someone you can trust in net. Now, when I sit here and analyze this game, not many positives. The power play at least was, somewhat coherent. The penalty kill did what they had to do. But overall, when you really sit here and you study this game, if you look back at it a while bit later, this was a situation where the Golden Knights did not capitalize on opportunities. They had a bunch of power plays. They did not score a power play goal at all. The penalty kill did what they tried to do, but you can't stop every single power play. So for the Vegas Golden Knights, this was just a very tough game to watch. And the next game against Seattle hopefully will be a different story. Now, for the player of the game, okay? For the player of the game when it comes to your Vegas Golden Knights organization, I have to give it to one of the only people who actually showed up for this game. And of course, I'm talking about Ben Hutton. So Ben Hutton, he will get player of the game here. And I have to give a lot of praise to Ben Hutton for his performance in this game. Well, not only did he score his second goal of the season for the Vegas Golden Knights, but throughout the entire game, he was shooting shots. He blocked shots. He was on ice for a decent amount of time. So overall, Ben Hutton really impressed me in this game. This is somebody who did what he was supposed to do. Unfortunately, it just came a bit short. Now, for your Vegas Golden Knights, this is their win-loss record at this moment in time. And like I said, with the wild card standings, is this record good enough to get in the playoffs? 36, 25, and 7. Is this a good enough record to go up against Vancouver? Good enough to go up against Colorado? Forbid the LA Kings have such a drastic slide and the Vegas Golden Knights get the final spot in the Pacific. Is this a good enough team to go up against Edmonton? Now, if you play like you did against New Jersey, 100% absolutely. But if you perform like you did tonight against Tampa Bay, absolutely no shot. So, for your Vegas Golden Knights, this was just a very unfortunate game. And like I said, not much positives happened here in this matchup. Now, the team stats in this game. The Vegas Golden Knights outshot Tampa Bay 27-21. They outhit the Tampa Bay Lightning 36-27. As a matter of fact, Paul Cotter, someone they put in the game over Pavel Dorofeev, his stat line for this game, only 2 hits in this game. So even though Keegan Kolesar had 9 hits on his end, You put in Paul Cotter mostly for his physicality, yet he only has 2 hits. All right, that's a bit suspect. Vegas Golden Knights had 4 penalties in this game. Tampa Bay only had 3. And in the faceoff circle, it was kind of near even. Tampa Bay had 52% of their winning percentage, Vegas 48. So kind of near even. A little bit of advantage to Tampa Bay, but not by much. Block shots, Tampa Bay had 16, Vegas had 10. And the takeaway column, Tampa Bay had 9, Vegas only had 6. So overall, for your Vegas Golden Knights, a very disappointing loss for the Vegas Golden Knights against Tampa Bay. The next matchup against Seattle, we will do Vegas Hockey Hub recap. We're doing it for all 82 games that we'll be doing here on Vegas Hockey Hub. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Continue watching hockey, go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.